Good day and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at which D.I.S.C abilities are best for your class. Please take note that these abilities don't make a massive difference, but they do help you out, and honestly they are still something that buffs your character, so using the most optimal one should help you out with your playstyle. We'll start off with Death Knights, the best Death Knight abilities for the durable D.I.S.C container. For single target, for blood, it's going to be Critical Chain, Frost Critical Chain, and Unholy Spark Burst. Critical Chain obviously gives you a chance at a secondary stat increase for Critical Strike, which is crucial for the healing on Blood DK and procs on Frost. Whereas Spark Burst is giving you haste, which is obviously crucial for the proc buildup of Unholy in terms of the dots. AoE wise, it doesn't really change too much for Blood DK, although you could use Spark Burst if you want to, because haste is always good on tanks. For Frost, it will remain Critical Chain, and for Unholy, it will remain Spark Burst. So, pretty standard stuff. Remember, a lot of the secondary stats are going to be your go-to ones for a lot of your classes, because secondary stats will help your natural rotation without needing really anything to happen. For example, Energy Shield's cool, but it's more a survivability thing, so you can take it if you're worried about how you live, stuff like that, but it's not really something that's going to give you a gain, whereas secondary stats will help most classes. Next, we come into Demon Hunter. So for Demon Hunter, Havoc, single target is Critical Chain, makes perfect sense, crits are super important. Vengeance has actually a lot of options here. We're looking at kind of charge bolts being a solid-ish. The reason for this is you are always in close proximity, and damage is really something that is quite needed for Vengeance. Critical Chain, very similar, also very good, and then Spark Burst for haste. Haste is very crucial on Demon Hunter tank because of the cooldown of your abilities, the healing, and also the key reliability on things like Fell Devastation, Immolation Aura, and Spikes. For AoE, it remains Critical Chain and Spark Burst, nothing too wild here. A lot of the AoE options aren't going to be too different from the single target options, only in very rare cases will they be significantly different. The next one we'll talk about is Druid or Druid. So for Druid, pretty straightforward. Balance, single target, lots of options. Balance is always going to have lots of options because of the versatility of the class itself. Static Charge, first time we're seeing that. Basically your versatility going up. Why versatility is so great, okay, basically is that the big versatility bonus helps you in balance because of your utility in general, your healing, etc, etc. Critical Chain because of the crit, and Spark Burst because of the haste. You're going to see basically your rotations between Crit Chain and Spark Burst almost consistently throughout all the classes. Feral, we're looking at Static Charge. Why? Because of the versatility increase. Guardian, we're looking at Static Charge because of versatility increase. Restoration Druid, weirdly enough, we're looking, well, not weirdly enough, we're looking at Spark Burst because of haste. And then we're looking at Cauterizing Bolts. Why are we looking at Cauterizing Bolts? Okay, is because basically, okay, when you're a Restoration Druid, you do have a little bit of a struggle with AoE healing. Being able to heal the tank while standing amongst the spellcasters, providing some AoE healing from yourself, helps you with a lot of your passive AoE healing that you have. Best AoE for all of them is going to be mainly Spark Burst, because of just the haste, or Static Charge. In the case of Feral Druid, largely, again, because of the fact that it's just giving them that huge versatility increase. Feral Druid doesn't really rely on anything proccing, so Verse is just a great way to kind of cover all bases with it. With Evoker, things get a little bit more complicated. So with Augmentation Evoker, it's very simple. You're looking at Static Charge, versatility, keep your life simple, both single and AoE. For Preservation, things change. We're seeing Electric Current for the first time. Devastation, very much, pretty much a ton of options. So why is there so many options on Devastation Evoker? Well, honestly, the reason there's so many options on Devastation Evoker is because with Devastation Evoker, there isn't necessarily a single secondary stat that you overtly need to stack up on. There's quite a few that can benefit you. Static Charge is good because of versatility, benefiting all of your abilities. Crit Chain helps you with a lot of your spells critting. Electric Current will just give you basically really good mastery flow, and mastery is really good because of how it benefits the rotation for Devastation Evoker, and then Spark Burst because of haste and being a spellcaster. So because certain spells require you to crit to proc, because certain spells require your mastery to proc, and because haste is just generically useful, there isn't a wrong ability here. Pick one that suits whatever your secondary stats lowest. If your mastery looks good and your crit looks good on Devastation Evoker, don't waste your time. Go and push for verse or go and push for haste. Like, keep yourself focusing rather on the secondary stats you need. And then AoE doesn't really change too much. The only big one is the pickup of Electric Current for Preservation Evoker, obviously giving you that mastery, Spark Burst giving you that haste. So Preservation Evoker can just kind of pop out a couple more spells a little bit faster, but yeah, looking pretty straightforward. Next, we're going to take a look at Hunter. So Hunter is actually one of the ones that's a bit more simple. So basically, Hunter has just one that's unique or best across both single and AoE. Marksmanship is Crit Chain, Survival Hunter is Spark Burst, Beast Mastery Hunter is Static Charge, so looking for the versatility. But with Beast Mastery Hunter, you do have to switch, I believe it is Murder of Crows for, I think it's Cobra Strike or Venom Strike, because the raw attack power conversion for Murder of Crows doesn't work so well when you're running Static Charge. So you rather then look for specifically looking at running a different talent then. But yeah, for Mage, look, it's very simple. Arcane Mage, you're looking at Critical Chain. Crit is massively important to Arcane Mage. Frost Mage, you're looking at the first time we're seeing Charge Crystal. So Charge Crystal, the reason why that's the first time we're seeing it is because Frost Mage has a lot of single target, but a lot of single target burst that kind of procs in multiple charge attacks, things like Frost Lance, etc, etc. So being able to turn those high level kind of spike abilities and spike attacks, like increase in attack multitude, into potential AoE damage is very important. And then Fire Mage is just going to depend on a little bit about what you're running, whether you're running Frostfire or Sun Fury. But to keep it super simple, if you're running Frostfire, Static Charge is going to be your best. If you are running Sun Fury, Spark Burst is going to be your best, and you just inverse them depending on what you need. It's all going to depend on your secondary stats. But yeah, pretty straightforward. Honestly, super duper simple. And yeah, that's Mage. Next, we're going to take a look at Monk. So Monk is again one of those ones where it relies on quite a few stats. So there's no direct necessarily outright, or there is one that's probably tops, but you could rotate between 2 or 3 depending on the classes and you'd be fine. So Brewmaster, we're looking at mainly Critical Chain, for the crit increase, Charge Crystal if you're looking for a bit more damage. On the AoE side, things change a little bit. You're looking more for Static Charge, or you're looking for Electric Current. Okay. The reason is obviously versatility is always very good when it comes to just raw damage output, and then Mastery just allows you to kind of proc that Drunken Mastery, which allows you to do a little bit more AoE damage, which is great. Mystery of a Monk, you're looking at Spark Burst, okay, really awesome. Haste, okay, great, simple. Crit Chain, which is fine. Same for single and AoE. Cauterizing Bolts is, okay. If you distinctly just want to focus on healing, you don't care about damage as a healer, just go Cauterizing Bolts. It's kind of like a great just default to go, and you'll just benefit from it naturally. And then Windwalker Monk is actually very interesting. Windwalker Monk, we're looking at Crit Chain, so crit, we're looking at Spark Burst for haste, and we're looking at Static Charge or Electric Current for mastery. So kind of your standard abilities there. I think it just depends again on what secondary stats lowest for you, right? If your crit is missing, then go for the crit one. If you're super high up on haste, don't panic by the haste. It's just one of those situations. Paladin, we're going super duper old school, and when I say old school, super duper simple. Holy Paladin, Spark Burst, Boom, Haste for healing. Protection Paladin, Spark Burst or Crit Chain, depending on which one you need more stats in. But Spark Burst is your general go-to one, again, because of spells and healing. And Red Pally for crit. Nice and simple, super straightforward. You gotta love it when it comes to Paladins. They always know what they want. They're a super simple class. I like that about them. Very heavily reliant on singular stats as a class, especially the Spellcaster with haste. So yeah, it's really good stuff. So Priest is somewhat also similar in simplicity. Disc Priest depends a little bit on whether you got Oracle or Void Weaver. You're looking more at your kind of crit chain, or you're looking at your Spark Burst, just depending, either haste or crit. When you look at Holy Priest, again, you're looking at crit chain mainly for crits, critting heals. It's kind of self-explanatory. Electric Current can be used if you want to, but it's not a big deal. Shadow Priest, you're looking at Electric Current. The key with Shadow Priest is that Mastery is above all. It's very crucial to how the damage mechanisms work in that rotation. So Mastery, super developable for Shadow, otherwise just generally Crit Chain for Disc and Holy. Otherwise you can go Spark Burst if you really want to kind of reduce that spellcasting time and get that haste up. For Rogue, things are relatively simple. We're looking at Electric Current for Assassination, Mastery. Outlaw Rogue, looking at Charged Crystal. Outlaw Rogue. I don't play a ton of, so this one I'm happy for someone to give more information as to why Charged Crystal is important for Outlaw Rogue. I think that would be great. Subtlety, Rogue, Crit Chain and Static. Just again, depending on what stat you're missing the most. Crit will be your go-to. If your crit is hitting soft cap, then look at Static. Static being versatility, is a versatile stat, self-explanatory, very easy. Next, we take a look at the Shaman. Elemental Shaman is pretty straightforward, focusing largely on static charge because of versatility being just a universal stat that's great for it. Restoration Shaman is critical chain for crit heals, otherwise if you're lazy you can just go cauterizing bolts for a little bit more of that AoE healing coverage. And Enhancement Shaman is a little bit all over the place, but realistically it depends again on what you're missing for single target and AoE. So Enhancement Shaman, we're looking at more Spark Burst, we're looking at Electric Current, mainly for that haste, that mastery, but Crit Chain is there. Crit Chain is just something that can help, especially if you're looking for those crit procs to kind of get off some of your spells. So because of Enhancement, because it's got kind of 3 crucial stats in its rotation, especially when it comes to proccing its additional functionality, which is crucial towards how Shaman works, Enhancement Shaman, you'll see that you're going to have to pick up which stat is not at the right level for you. Next, we take a look at Warlock. So Warlock, my favorite one in this whole video, Static Charge. So Static Charge, Static Charge, Static Charge, Static Charge, Static Charge, Static Charge, Static Charge. Reason why, so each Warlock class functions very heavily off of one stat, but once that stat's kind of hit soft cap, there's no reason to kind of go for any other ones. Versatility is great for a lot of them because like Destruction Warlock, which relies on crit, Affliction, which relies on haste, and then obviously Demonology, which relies on mastery and crit. Generally speaking, versatility is just going to work for all of them, and especially with Demonology it helps a lot. So I think overall it's just one of those super simple ones where it's like, just pick up the verse, pick up that huge kind of spike in verse, and just take it from there. Finally, we come to the Warriors. So Warriors depends obviously, but Arms Warrior, you're looking at Crit Chain for the crit, Spark Burst if you're maxed out on crit and hitting soft cap. Fury Warrior, you're looking at Crit Chain, Electric Current if you're hitting soft cap. And then for Prot, because you are a tank, you're looking at Spark Burst for that haste mainly, allowing you to really throw out those spells. And then Electric Current if you're looking for a bit of mastery. So nothing too crazy with Warrior, pretty simple crit centric class, so we focus on crit. If we're capping out on crit, we just focus on our secondary, which in the most cases is either mastery or haste, so it just depends on what you're playing. I think overall, like I said, your secondary stats are always going to be super duper crucial for most players and characters and things like that. So that's that. That is the D.I.S.C powers. Obviously, as I mentioned throughout the video, secondary stats are absolutely crucial for so many of these classes, and so you'll find a lot of the D.I.S.C powers go there, but you can just pick whatever you're comfortable with. Honestly, if you just want an energy shield because you just feel like having extra coverage because you are going to keep dying, then go energy shield. Like, whatever floats your boat, as long as you find it effective and it helps you. If you're ace at your rotation, you don't need more stats, then just focus in and grab something that's useful, some utility. I will say the powers aren't, they're good, but they aren't game breaking, you know, so it's much like the horrific visions buff, where they are just nice to have. They help you. You'll notice them, but not notice them breaking your character. So just pick them up, pick whatever helps you, and you should be good to go.